Okay, we're going to get started. Thank you everyone for showing up. So today what we're going to present is a root cause approach to rapid, safe, and lasting weight loss. And I will be teaching you 7 skills to lose 20 to 45 pounds in 6 weeks by balancing your hormones, eliminating inflammation without pills, planks, and poking yourself. And if you don't know, I'm Rebecca Kahn. I go by Becca, and I'm hosting this event today. Okay. So I'm also going to show you how to have more energy and sleep even more deeply so you can feel and even look more youthful. Today's objectives is to teach you a new way of looking at weight and metabolism to get you started asking the right questions. I think that's really primary my objective for you is to start to look at things differently and ask different questions. Why you might need a different approach to weight loss, and then simple practices that you can apply immediately after today. I wanted to talk about unique process that has empowered thousands of people to lose their weight and keep it off by staying healthy. Today, I want to put you back into the driver's seat. It's my passion for people to just learn how to be healthy and stay healthy the natural way. I also want to share some case studies, including myself, that will hopefully inspire you to show what's possible. I want to move you to take action to live a better quality of life. And I also want to make an offer that you can't refuse. If you stay to the end, I have a special gift to share with you. It's called the Morning Routine for Weight Loss, and it's about 16 pages. So stay to the end and you'll get that little gift from us. As usual, there's always a disclaimer. We want to make sure that you're using the information that we present today just for educational purposes only. It's not supposed to be substituting for professional medical advice. Okay, so a little bit about me. I think most of you actually know who I am, but I been married for 31 years to my partner, my husband, and I have 2 wonderfully grown children, one 23, my daughter, and my son who is in the military, and he's 26. And I've been an occupational therapist for 30 years, starting next year, and I worked in a variety of settings, including the medical system at the beginning of my career, and then I ended my career working in the medical system, but in between I worked in public health and in pediatrics as well. I'm also a heart-mouth trainer, which you may not know what that is, but I'll talk about a little bit about that later. Basically trained by a really highly reputable science-based company that teaches folks how to self-regulate better with building resilience in the nervous system. And now since COVID, basically I left OT and I'm a health coach, and I'm just trying to teach people how to chart their by natural health tools. I think it might be important for you to know that I was actually diagnosed with fibromyalgia in my mid-30s. I was about 35 years old, and I became pretty sick to the point where I was sleeping all day. I was bedridden. I had young kids at that time. The medical system at that time only had pharmaceuticals to offer me to manage my pain, and they didn't know how else I could actually improve my health. So my kids remember me sleeping all day. Sometimes I'd get the embarrassing call from my daughters. She was going to a Catholic private school, and you had to pick them up, and I would be sleeping and through alarms and all sorts of stuff, and sometimes I'd be on the floor because I was trying to clean the floor and I just fell asleep on the floor in a pile of drool. So I've hit some pretty low points in my life with my fibromyalgia, but I've climbed out of that hole. I've taken a lot of, I'm just a do-it-yourselfer. I read a lot. I probably read hundreds of books. Thank God I have a library next to me, and slowly found those tools that really, really were helpful. Probably went down several rabbit holes that I didn't need to go through and wasted a lot of money. But at the worst, I like to describe people what fibromyalgia felt like. It was probably some chronic fatigue as well, but it felt like diffuse pain like you get when you're get a very bad flu. And the fatigue was just terrible. You just couldn't do very much. You'd get out of the shower and I was tired from that. So, and then I started in 2022, my company called Level Up Holistic Wellness. And I've just been here trying to help people. I'm very passionate about the fact that you can stay out of the medical system, which is all about treating illness, instead of achieving health. So I will say when I hit menopause, all my tools and tricks and everything that I had learned started to really fail me in terms of the weight gain that was slowly creeping on. And that's sort of where I'm going to start today is just kind of telling you, hey, even though you get stuck with the weight with menopause and all the hormone changes and all the old tricks don't work anymore, there's a solution I have. But not only that, it's kind of like surrounded with all the ways to get healthy and stay healthy for the rest of your lives and going into your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and let's hope maybe even hundreds. So this is me. Why does it take 2 weeks to take off 3 pounds, only days to just gain them back? I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's what I was experiencing. Does this sound like you at all? You start a program, you lose weight, your weight plateaus, and you gain it all back. I was starting to experience that. If that's you, then maybe type in the chat if that's you. Do you feel overwhelmed with all the information out there? I mean, I am a health buff and I get mixed up sometimes. I listen to all the podcasts and read lots and lots of books. I'm sorry about this little circle thing that's going on here. Do you not know where to start? Do you not feel like yourself? Sometimes just losing energy really can take a toll on you. Well, I'm here to say it's not your fault. Our whole culture has dramatically shifted over the last 50 years, especially. We just started to, 300 years ago, we started refining sugar and white flour, whereas for millions of years, our DNA had never been experienced to the type of diet that we have now. And about 50 years ago is when we started outsourcing our cooking to like fast foods and convenience foods, like freezer foods, that sort of thing. And then this is just a little statistic that I pulled out today from CDC that shows that over 40%, this is pretty recent data, of adults in the United States are obese, and it's 70% overweight and obese. So it's not our fault. There's something going on in the culture, and we need to start asking questions. But I feel like there's hope. I hope that you will learn something today that makes you think that. So I finally found a program that I can believe in. So you can see that this is my before and after picture. I have lost 21 pounds in 6 weeks. And that was back, I started the program in May and ended it July 1st, I believe. And so I've kept it off for 4.5 months, which is like unheard of, at least at recent times. For me, it was. And what it is that allows my metabolic set point to kind of get unstuck with the use of homeopaths, which I'll talk to in a little bit. I plan to do another round. We can only do this program for 6 weeks at a time, and we need to wait in between. And so I plan to do another round because I have a little bit more weight to lose. I love the program. Not usually I'm a do-it-yourselfer, and I really did appreciate the coaching, the structure of the program. And so I'm here to share that part of the program with you. I also learned, got other improvements such as sleep improvements. This is my own personal data. I know it's kind of tiny on your screens, especially if you're looking at a phone, but you'll see that my sleep scores, which I wear an Aura ring, I'm wearing it today, kind of tracks my sleep, my heart rate variability, my oxygen level, temperatures, heart rate, all sorts of stuff. And so that's part of our second tier program. And you can see that my in June, so I'm in the middle of the program, my sleep scores are pretty darn good. It's a score of 82. You want to be above 80 ideally. And you can see in this calendar, it shows the little crowns right here. Basically, that means you got a score of 85 and above. And then 3, 4 months later, I still am maintaining pretty good sleep scores. So it's consistent. I've learned to train my body to be to basically have good deep sleep and rest. And then I'll just want to point out this little week right here where I don't have those little crowns, and it's because my daughter moved in with her puppy, and the puppy was howling at night and was not getting good sleep. So that's real data there, folks. So for me, health is my wealth because when you're like completely bedridden and you can't do anything, it's pretty frustrating. And I did spend thousands and thousands of dollars in reading information, going to probably 7 naturopaths, 3 or 4 doctors, and chiros and acupuncturists, and all sorts of types of practitioners to get healthy. And I don't regret it, even though I went through many ways to just inefficient ways to get healthier. But this is my philosophy. A person who is healthy has 1,000 dreams. A person who is unhealthy only has one dream, which is to get healthy. And this is me just this year alone. I'm crossing a river here in Iceland. I take a little bit of risk. It's not as high of a risk as it might look. This is me hiking. Sorry. This is me hiking on the glacier for the first time. That was also in Iceland this year. Just my friend and I just acting goofy. That's in Iceland. For the first time, I went parasailing. This is in Costa Rica. And then I've been backpacking for a few years, but I was able to backpack. This was in August to Mount Baker, and I did it without any migraines. And my migraines with the fibromyalgia were pretty debilitating. It felt like somebody was taking the bat to my head and pounding it. And I would have that for 4 or 5 hours every time I got a migraine. And then I would throw up for 1 or 2 hours. And it was not fun. It made me want to ask for death, to be honest. But I'm over that. So excited to live my life. So now I'd like to know, what is your why to achieve the best version of yourself? What would you do differently if you had the most optimal health? If you can type that in the chat, that would be wonderful. And I'll wait. Oh, did you? Okay. So Gail says she wants to go on more adventures. Heather says travel and do more classes. And then Tara says, I want to stay strong so I can be active for my kids as they become adults. That's wonderful. Me too. I can't wait to have grandkids when it's the right time, so I have energy for that generation. And I guess Philip says he wants to be a movie star. Yeah. And Lokana loves being active and wants to hike the Grand Canyon. Oh, that sounds fabulous. I want to do that too. I'm going to go with you. Whoops. Okay, so our philosophy here at Level Up Holistic Wellness is that the body, mind, and spirit are interconnected. We are just part of nature. So unlike the medical system, we don't parcel like the liver, with the the muscle system or the stomach system, or circulatory system. Nature's incredible intelligence is embedded in all living things. When we work with nature, our bodies, mind, and minds naturally self-heal. And the result is vibrant health. I put together this, what we call a root cause analysis. So you can see that we have all these chronic diseases in our society, right? We have fibromyalgia, cancer, high blood pressure, digestive issues, heart disease, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, all of those diseases in our medical system are treated with drugs usually, and they're treated as a one separate issue by one specialist and another issue by another specialist. So we try to coach you how to create vibrant health by looking at the root cause of all chronic disease because these are lifestyle diseases, so looking at nutrition, sleep, light exposure, movement, what kinds of movement, trauma, toxins, chronic stress, all of these types of things can cause a lot of oxidative stress and free radicals, which causes inflammation. Most people know what I'm talking about when we talk about, diffuse inflammation. And then I kind of put on this stump of the tree that we start to see the signs of all of our lifestyle factors. Like I said, it's not entirely up to us as to why these things are happening. It's in our society, it's part of our lifestyle, modern lifestyle. But if we start to look that we are starting to get insulin resistance, feeling like we don't have as much energy, and then feeling like we're getting overweight, then those are the same things that get you on the path to any one of these chronic diseases. So we're going to teach you how to sort of reverse course on that path. And like I said, inflammation is the cause, it's a silent saboteur of weight loss. But the good news is lifestyle decisions are more important than genetics. So they have a newer field called epigenetics, which tells us that gene expression is influenced by the environment. When I say environment, I'm talking about the molecular messages that we create inside our body. Genetics may load the gun, but the lifestyle pulls the trigger. So sorry about the gun analogy, but what I'm trying to convey here is that we are empowered. And this sort of describes when I say molecular input or bionutrients, these are the inputs that are at least a short list of the inputs that I'm talking about. So, of course, food and liquid input is the biggest type of information, molecular information that we're putting into our body. So we do need to be aware of what we're putting into our body. We are 3D printed from food, essentially. But we also look in our program, we talk about mindset and identity because even negative thoughts or positive thoughts translate to a biochemistry that bathe the rest of our cells. So I used to say that to my patients when I worked in skilled nursing rehab is like if they were putting themselves down or they felt hopeless, I said, we need to change that mindset so that you start to heal your body with your thoughts, not harm your body with your thoughts. Of course, I'm an occupational therapist, so I'm going to talk about movement input, and there's lots of different kinds of movement, of course, like weight training versus flexibility training versus cardiovascular training, for example. Um, Sunlight is an input that most people don't think about these days, but it's a very, very important input. About exposure to unnatural radiations. That's what EMF stands for, is electromagnetic frequencies that are coming from our phones, from our computers, and that sort of thing. Just like how do we mediate that? We need to look at rest and recovery. What are we doing to slow our nervous system down regulate, and give our bodies enough rest, whether that's from exercise or from the daily grind of a stressful day. I actually threw in temperature input, which sounds really weird, but we have centralized heating and cooling, so our bodies don't even get to experience like the normal fluctuations of temperature throughout the day. We have so much luxury in our lifestyle and we don't realize, yeah, it's kind of making our cells a little soft, if you will. We need a little bit of stress, stress, if you will, to kind of keep our cells sort of like strong. Just like when you go work out at the gym, you're creating you're carrying down your muscles so they build up stronger. It's sort of at a cellular level as well. We all need to be engaged with family or friends or in our community. We are social creatures. It's part of who we are psychologically. And then, and something that most people don't think about is the chemical input, some of the molecular messages that come from what we put on our skin and what we breathe. So just think about lotions and potions and hairsprays and all makeup, just everything can be toxic to our bodies or not. And then exposure to earth and nature is very important. We'll talk a little bit about that too. Okay, so at all times, I want you to start thinking about what kind of information are we putting into ourselves? Is it healing or is it harming? And the other question I really want you to start thinking about is which approach do we want for long-term health issues? Like, I get it. We got to use medication when we are hurting so bad, and that's a temporary fix, and it does a lot of symptom management and suppression. So maybe, if I had a huge migraine that where medication actually worked, I would have used it because I felt like death. But what I really wanted to know is how do I get rid of migraines in the first place? Why do I have them in the first place? So that's what the difference is in our approach. Is like we want to know why we have a health issue and how are we going to fix it. And the good thing is, just as a rising tide lifts all boats in the harbor, improving the molecular inputs helps all the cells in our body and our tissues and our organs at the same time. So it's allowing our body to improve our health. And as we improve our health, we improve all the different symptoms from a variety of chronic diseases. So an example of that is meeting Christina. So Christina's a busy mom. She's 48 years old in this picture with 3 kids. She's actually a nutritionist, she with her own business, and she gained 20 to 30 pounds during the pandemic. I think a lot of us could relate. She also has eczema, low energy, restless sleep, and she's tried a lot of diets, including paleo. Christina released 27 pounds in 10 weeks. And just so you know, our program's actually 6 weeks where we release the weight and then 4 weeks to kind of transition back into a healthier diet that's more full, I guess, without as much restrictions, maybe. So after 10 weeks, she had a lot more energy. She was sleeping deeper. Again, we use the Aura Ring, so we have data for our clients so that they can see for themselves that they're improving certain metrics. Her eczema disappeared. I think that's kind of huge. It shows like how that rising tide, so improving all the molecular input into your body, improve things like eczema. Her mood is more stable, and she was deeper connected to her voice, and she was more calm and grounded. Here's another before and after pictures. They're pretty amazing. Her dysfunction was basically tied to inflammation and stress in the body. And you can see the eczema on her face and her hands, the before and after pictures. And that's why I was trying to make the point that when you put better input into your body, sort of everything sort of improves at the same time. And a lot of people have improved on this program within that 6 week period. Okay, so again, I'm trying to differentiate. Our program has that root cause approach versus conventional medicine. The paradigm is completely different where, in conventional health, okay, your body's broken, let's fix it with a pharmaceutical or surgery. That's the approach that I've seen over and over again. Versus we're trying to tell you your body's wise. Now let's give it the input that it needs in order to perform better. Instead of managing symptoms, we're trying to address the root cause. The intervention is pills versus skills. We want to teach you skills in our program. The communication obviously is different between, your 5 or 10 minutes with the doctor. We want your time with us to be meaningful, and it's a two-way conversation. And our appointments are usually 45 minutes long, 30 to, yeah, 40, like, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, 45 minutes long. So we're just trying to empower you in our way of looking at things. And this is, again, trying to talk about how holistic our program is. We're going to be addressing optimizing your mitochondria, restful sleep, balancing your blood sugar, optimal nutrition. We're going to reset your circadian rhythm and teach you how to do that. Balanced hormones is just sort of a natural side effect from the program once you start, and also is reduced inflammation. You get to a healthy weight. One of the great things about a program where you have such usually rapid weight loss is probably a sign of a bad program. But in this program, it's a little different because we use homeopaths, but having that rapid weight loss is so motivating psychologically to anybody that goes on a program, because you not only feel, 20 pounds lighter, can you imagine? It's like, you know, it's pretty significant. You'll feel it on your joints, you feel more energy, but it's such a great way to just get on a momentum to good health because once you lose that much weight, pretty rapidly, you get pretty excited. So it's pretty fun. And then for this, I'll tell you about the different tiers in the program, but starting at the second tier, you get the wearable technology, which is the Aura Ring. We do focus on stress management, healthy digestion, and optimal breathing. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. Okay, so let's get a sampling of lifelong, and I'm going to say intergenerational skills that you'll learn in our program because over the generations, we took for granted the knowledge that just sort of came from one generation to another, and we've lost it. Like, why didn't I know half this stuff without having to dig for it and research it? And a lot of it is, it feels like common sense to me now, but I didn't know how to get out of the hole that I dug for myself with my fibromyalgia. Okay, so skill number one is to improve your gut health. How do we do that? Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And it's not a cute elephant like this one. We're going to talk about Ozempic. So Ozempic and other drugs are called GLP-1 analogs, and what they're doing is trying to increase the amount of GLP-1, which is a peptide. How peptides work, simplified, because it's very complicated. We have over 7,000 peptides in the body that work in concert with other peptides. So it's never just one by itself. And each peptide is used for specific tasks in the body for a limited time. So these new drugs are actually keeping, like, specifically the GLP-1 longer in the body than the body would normally keep around, and at a much higher dose, like a high physiological dose. So my question, and I want you to start questioning this, is like, well, I wonder how the body is going to respond to the imbalance created by this drug. If the body's not already making the super physiological dose, then what's going to happen? How's the body going to respond? So that's the questions I want you to start asking because we don't know the answer for some of this. How will the body respond to a super physiological dose? By forcing the body to deal with a certain biochemistry? Ask that question. How do we know what the long-term effects are? Like people taking this for years. Supposedly you spend $1,500 to $2,000 a month on Ozempic and you go on it lifelong. I don't get that. Like, how is that useful? And then we don't have any data for long term. So you guys are going to, whoever goes on that will be the data points. And then the other question I ask is there a natural way to increase that biochemical function? How do we increase GLP-1 in the first place? If GLP-1 is that peptide that helps you feel more satiated and helps you feel fuller quicker, how do we get that naturally? So I'm going to give you some tips on that. So your body already makes GLP-1 under the right conditions. And nature knows how to balance itself and make these peptides if you give it all the right molecular information. I'm going to sound like a broken record by the time we're done here. Sorry about that. Did I record this? Okay. Sorry, I got distracted myself here. So ways to naturally increase GLP-1 is to eat more fiber. Well, what do you know? So, like I said, some of these things are just so simple and common sense that I feel silly and ridiculous to be even telling you this. But again, I think we need to be out there talking to people and saying, like, hey, question this. Like, question, like, if you want to go down the path of a pharmaceutical drug or that's very expensive with side effects, or do you want to go in a way that's sort of nudging the body back into achieving health? And then eating foods with a rich amount of polyphenols and flavonoids really improves your gut health as well, specifically to improve your microbiome to create GLP-1 in your cells. I think they're called L cells. So think about eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, especially have your polyphenols, and eat from the colors of the rainbow. So that just means that eat a variety of colored foods like bell peppers are green and yellow and red and etc. Also, eating bitter foods helps increase GLP-1. I guess we have bitter receptors, the same kind of receptors that we have in the back of our mouth. We have them in our gut, in our intestinal lining as well. So back in our ancestors used to eat more variety. Of course, they ate all whole foods, but they ate a lot more bitter foods. So think about how you can incorporate more bitter foods because our palate has changed, especially as a society, and we're eating more sugars in our diet, for example. It's changing our taste buds, so we're not seeking bitter foods like we would maybe if we even 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And of course, probably king law is the the attorneys that are hired in the what's it called a basically a lawsuit where they're suing Ozempic. And so the biggest side effects with Ozempic is vomiting and nausea. It's all of these. And the gastroparesis is another big one, which I think is just terrible. That means your gut is paralyzed. So what a risk. I wanted to include this slide too, because this kind of shows you that this is, if we look at these cells, these are individual cells, and there's only one cell depth between your gut lining and the blood vessel. So you have to think of this as sort of a cheesecloth that filters out the nutrients in your intestinal tract, your small intestinal tract. And it filters out the nutrition so the nutrition gets into the blood without allowing any of these big particles like microorganisms or toxins. And there's particles like gluten particles. We don't want that to get into the bloodstream. But and these sort of as the cells kind of meet with each other, they put on here where leaky gut is. It simply means that the inflammation that's caused from the molecular information that's in your gut starts to cause the gaps right here between the cells, allowing some of these bigger particles to come through into the bloodstream. And that causes an immune response because you can imagine if even a protein particle that gets into the bloodstream, the body is not supposed to be there. So the body says, oh, foreign invader, let's mount an attack. So it mounts an immune response, which is basically inflammation. And so long-term inflammation from what you eat causes a lot of problems for you down the road. And if we remember that inflammation is what causes any number of these chronic diseases, and what causes one particular disease is probably the genetics. I'm more prone to getting diabetes because my dad has diabetes and that's my genetics. But somebody else may have cancer in their family history. So what chronic disease is the gun? And pulling the trigger is what we are doing with what we eat, what we choose to eat. knowingly and unknowingly, right? So the timeline for weight loss from some of these drugs is actually pretty long. So Ozempic and Wegovy takes about 12 months plus, I think, like I said, it's $1,500 a month. Mounjaro is 6 to 9 months, and metformin. I know a lot of people on metformin. I'm not sure if they actually lost weight on it, but they're saying 3 years. And this is time to lose 10 to 15% of the body weight based on a 200-pound female. In our program, you lose 10 to 15% of your body weight within 4.5 to 6 weeks, which is pretty impressive. Okay, skill number two, optimizing your nervous system. Why is that important? Well, the breath is the steering wheel of your nervous system. It's so fascinating to me that our breath is part of our autonomic nervous system, meaning we don't really have to think about our breath, we will breathe. So the part of the nervous system is automatic. We don't have to think about it. But the breath is something we can control. So it also is part of the volitional part of the nervous system. Like we are telling our breath to slow down. We can at least. So that's pretty remarkable because the nervous system is not meant to be nervous all the time. In other words, we are not to be in an alarm state all the time. Some people have been go, go, go mode. I know I was. I have to raise 2 kids. I had a career, lots of things going on in my life. And I didn't even realize I was in chronic stress all the time, which is sort of a flight, flight, or fright state. So the autonomic system is divided into like what I would call a parasympathetic state, which is sort of your brakes of your nervous system, and the sympathetic state that has to do with like acceleration. And you can kind of maybe you can see because I can barely see it myself, but the sympathetic state just means like you're in fight, flight, or fright mode. Your body is revving up because it's stressed out and needs to do something like fight, flight, or fright. You just think of ourselves in nature 300 years ago, and if we had like a tiger coming at us, or war, we are fighting a real enemy. So your body is preparing yourself to use your muscles. So all the blood floods into your muscles and your stomach acid decreases because we can't digest our food when we're like our life is in danger. So all sorts of effects happen to all our body parts where we're preparing our body for fight. And the most important ones I wanted to point out here is that digestion definitely goes down, including your enzymes and your acid and your insulin increases. So being in a stressful state typically gets you to gain a lot of belly fat because your cortisol is always on high drive. And cortisol is that stress hormone that gets the blood sugar to come out of your liver, out of your muscles, basically, and be ready to to mobilize, basically. We want to have more of a balance in the nervous system and activate our parasympathetic system. So basically, we can rest and we can digest. Um, you know, People have a lot of problems with fertility issues. They should be looking at whether or not they're in this sympathetic state because it is becoming a sort of a societal issue, right? And people aren't thinking like, oh, stress is sort of related to this. This is just another way of looking at stress, but you want to be in this green zone. We need a little bit of stress to get things done, of course, but it needs to be in balance with itself. What time is it? Um, and then we do have this freeze zone. This is when our body's been through so much stress that it's actually collapsing into like a shutdown response. I won't spend too much time there. So we try to focus on this program, especially since I am a heart math trainer. I want you to build up neurological resilience. What is neurological resilience? Let me give you a quick little lesson. Now watch this guy. Okay, that was a donkey. I don't know if you got caught that. There was a donkey coming down the hill, and what did he do? He kinda got up and just kept going. So that's what neurological resilience means to me. It's like life is still gonna come at us. Life is still gonna be stressful here and there, but if we build up our resilience, then we can get up faster from what takes us down for a moment or two. So that is exactly what resilience means. Being a heart math trainer, I threw in a couple slides here, and you can see as time goes on the X horizontal axis here, that when we have stress and we build up our resilience, so look at this blue line, we can have a higher level, like our baseline can be a lot higher so that we can perform at maximum, you know, at our maximum basically. When we don't build it up, we might crash and burn a little bit quicker. And motions are tied very much so to our heart rhythms. There's something called HRV, which is highly correlated to all-cause mortality and all the different illnesses. So when we can improve our heart rate variability, we are improving our health. And that's one of those bionutrients that we're talking about. So you can see here that it even looks jaggedy, right? This is our HRV, basically showing that there's not a lot of coherence in the system, neurological coherence. And if you read under here, incoherence is usually tied to those sort of depleting emotions like frustration, irritation, anger, impatience, worry, versus coherence. If we start to cultivate appreciation and calmness and patience and confidence, we are naturally going to start seeing more coherence in our heart brain coherence, is what it's called, in our nervous system. So that's something that I teach people on our third tier. I do a little bit on our second tier, sorry. So if you don't mind, how are people doing, first of all? Because I don't see any screens open, so I don't know if you're listening. Are we good to try? Somebody's talking here. Can you unmute, hon? They can mute themselves. Oh, okay. If you, I don't know if you were saying something, Heather. Okay. So, so we can try this together if you guys want. It's called heart focused breathing. It's super simple, but if we can just take a minute or two to do this, then I can at least get you a tool that you can use at any time and any place essentially. So what you want to do is focus your attention in the area of the heart and imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and a little deeper than usual. You can close your eyes. I don't mind the screens being off. That's fine. I don't know if you can hear my music either. One suggestion is to inhale for 5 seconds and exhale for 5 seconds, but whatever rhythm is comfortable for you. But the idea is to focus on the heart center and deepen your breath. How was that for you? If anybody tried that out, I don't know. Okay, thank you. Okay, so anyway, that is a really simple technique, right? The difference being really focusing on our hearts. Our heart has the largest electromagnetic field of all the organs in our body, and and the heart math will tell you that w- our electromagnetic field goes out about 8 feet, and that's only because their magnometers that measure that only go to 8 feet, so it's probably a lot larger than that. Their premise is that we're all connected through our hearts. If we have an open heart, we kind of feel the difference, right? When you are in a stress mode, your heart is tight, your chest is tight. We're breathing a shallow breath. We're not centered, we're not focused. And so, kind of doing that little exercise gets us in our heart and it starts to heal our body. So whenever we're in heart brain coherence, we really are in our hearts in that high vibration feeling and emotion, such as gratitude and appreciation or calm, then we're literally sending the biochemistry to flood every cell in our body to heal, to rest. It's okay. We're safe. So it's a beautiful system. I'd love to keep teaching it. So, okay, so we'll move on. Okay, so our third tier level, which again, I'll tell you what that is, as a lot more heart math training. But I also go into, I'm an energy worker. I do Reiki. Paulette knows my Reiki skills. um, but basically, I teach how energy works, how manifesting works, that sort of thing. So that's what do a lot more in-depth coaching. Skill number 3, oh my gosh, I need to go a little faster, right? Let's see, I started at 5. Okay, nutrient learning about nutrient density. I think this is gonna be common sense for you all. Obviously, there's gonna be a difference between 2 different the same calories for a bowl of chips and an apple. So the apple has a lot more molecular information that your body will recognize, right? So the apple has fiber, it has natural sugars, it has vitamins, and it has mineral. And again, it's something that body will recognize. For millions of years, we know what an apple is, and our body will take it in, extract the nutrients and the vitamins and everything it needs, and again 3D prints cells and cellular parts with that information versus like a bowl of chips. Might have the same calories, but it's devoid of nutrients, right? And on top of that, I'm gonna go out of my way to kind of show you this book called Dark Calories by Catherine Shanahan. She talks about how terrible these hateful eight oils are, and almost all processed food, especially chips, and eating out in restaurants, that sort of thing, have these toxic oils in them, and they cause a lot of oxidative stress. Um, which causes disease. I think I've connected the dots from you. So oxidative stress causes inflammation, which causes disease down the road. It's not a one and done kind of thing, but it all adds up, right? So it's a lot of misinformation in the body that their body is reacting to and causing inflammation to. In fact, it was so funny. My daughter had a job interview, so she came back and she said, "Oh yeah, I want to treat myself." So she wanted to go get some fries. And I said, "Well, do you have to get fries? Can you get anything better than fries and even pizza, like just something with more like protein and maybe some vegetables on there or something." And it took her some convincing, and this is what I told her. I go, "Hey, did you know that I did a social media post on this?" I said, "Did you know that eating 5 ounces of fries is like smoking 2 packs of cigarette?" And she's like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, the oxidative stress, the inflammation that's caused in your body is as if you smoked 2 packs in 1 day. So, I got her to not eat fries. That's my point. But isn't that amazing? I think that's incredible to know that. I don't think I'll ever eat a bag of chips after learning that, so, the food in our program is you can eat so much food because look at the colors of the rainbow in these examples of people eating their food. And I learned how to make even curry on this on the release phase of the program, so it gets even more colorful. Calories in, calories out does not always work. That it was a big news flash from what because I took nutrition. I was in nursing school before I became an OT, and we did not learn that. It was calories of a calorie, but we have variables that influence how weight comes on in and on, and that's called metabolism, basically, in all our biochemistry. Skill number 4 in our program is we're going to implement an eating window. And even if you don't do our program, it's something to consider doing. Um, you want to compress your eating window. Another way that people call it is time restricted eating is trying to get your 2, 3, whatever meals, 1 to 3 meals into a compression window between 6 to 8 hours because I guess the average person in the US is eating having 11 eating events over I think it's 15 hours, but that's just too long of a period of time. So the reason why is that you need your body to have some downtime from the huge effort of metabolizing your food so that it can do some cleanup and repair. You know, you have to have that every day. And so that is a big part of this program, and it's very, very effective. And you can compress it. You know, obviously, you don't want to eat within 3 hours of your bedtime. That's kind of key. And if you can shift it more, your eating times, you know, more in the daylight time, that's even better, which I'm still working on, by the way. So I'm not perfect, but I don't eat within 3 hours of bedtime. I do make sure of that. The next skill is just rest and recovery, and that has to do with your sleep. And what's a big factor in sleep is setting your circadian rhythm. So in the program, we really do a lot of education about getting outside as often as you can, especially, you know, I know it's cloudy in the North Pacific Northwest, but even just getting outside when it's dark and cloudy and maybe even rainy, just for 10 minutes and within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, then you sort of reset your circadian rhythm, which really, really affects your metabolism. So this was a big aha, like I knew this knowledge, but I didn't actually implement it. So I went through the program. That's where the coaching really does help because, you know, knowing something and actually doing it and having some assistance and support really does help. And I notice, like, because I have my Aura Ring, if I start to slack off on getting my daylight throughout the day, and, you know, I'll just take a 10-minute break at solar noon. I'll take a break, you know, closer to sunset, and I definitely try to get my morning I prioritize my morning, getting outside, you know, and I notice that my sleep is impacted. So I do have data that shows that. One of the good things about the Aura Ring when you can look at your data on your phone, for example, is that you can tag what things you did or didn't do that day that might be helpful in trying to kind of cite some of the information that impacts your sleep. So sometimes I'll put, oh, I had caffeine at 1 o'clock, and that might 1 o'clock p.m. and that might affect my sleep versus like 10 a.m. You know, so and which it does, by the way. There is a free app called the Circadian app that is pretty cool. I played around with that and it tells you just what your sunrise. They have a free version of when sunrise, sunset is, and solar noon, when you should get some, you know, out there to get some sunlight. Um, this is another thing that really impacted me. Just knowing this, I knew it, I read it before, but I really didn't make the connection about like when I don't get enough sleep I am super hungry during the day, and it's because my ghrelin, think of ghrelin as grumpy, growling stomachs, just to make an alliteration. And then your leptin, which is also decreases, which prevents you from feeling satisfied after you eat. So I've definitely noticed that. Now that I actually see this like nice little visual, it kind of is very helpful. So I definitely try to prioritize my sleep because of the effects on my metabolism. And this is the Aura Ring. I've been pointing it out. And as I showed you before, that shows the improvements in sleep. Skill number 6 is optimizing your mitochondria. So, of course, mitochondria is your little organelles in your cells, and you want to have as many organelles as possible because those little organelles create energy in the body. So, one of the things that um, you know with my fibromyalgia, especially my chronic fatigue that I was unaware of. So, even though I took out all the toxins and improved my diet and lifestyle, I still was left for, I would say, 2 decades, where I was just struggling with fatigue. I mean, I just really had to fight with my body, and it's because I didn't have enough mitochondria. I mean, I really figured that out. So, getting that infrared, light really does help to improve your mitochondria and also deep sleep rest. So restful sleep and sunshine is crucial for weight loss for that reason. And then lastly, step number 7 is to reset your HPA axis. What is HPA? HPA is your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gland axis. And basically, this is your stress response. And one of the this is sort of where your set point comes from. I'm not really good at explaining this just yet, but what we have in our program that really helps with the metabolic set point is this homeopath, which has this ACTH, adrenal corticothyroid hormone, I think it stands for, but it basically resets that hormone in a homeopathic format. So I've done a lot of homeopaths over the years, especially with my brother being a homeopath naturopath. And if you get the right homeopath, it's pretty effective and it's very subtle yet powerful in the body. So very impressed with that product. And I'm not sure, you might be thinking that you don't have time to be healthy. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have time to be unhealthy. Let me tell you, I wasted a lot of years and I don't know, decades, I want to say, being unhealthy and trying to find the way out of there. Um, Even being tired, you can't start anything new. One of the good things about the program is that it fits seamlessly into your lifestyle. Like you have to eat anyway, and then in our program, we're going from, if you eat 3 meals, you're eating 2 meals for that period of time for that 6 weeks. So you actually gain a little bit of time because you don't have to eat. So it saves you a little bit of time. But if you lack willpower, it's not difficult with the homeopath. It just has this natural way to suppress appetite and so therefore it's not difficult. I did the program by myself without the support of my husband, and he makes good food that smells really could be South Asian cooking is very strong and makes me hungry when I smell it. I didn't have any of those troubles. So, and if you don't have the support, I'm here to support you. If you spent a lot of money, I'm sorry that you have. I've definitely done the same thing. This is probably the best spent money you could ever had, and I spent the money too on this program. I'm really happy with the results, the long-term results. And always, it costs a lot more money to be unwell. Research, you guys know this, shows that having a supportive community improves weight loss outcomes too. That's one of the good things about Weight Watchers, actually, is because they have that community. And coaching, of course, is actually shown to be an accountability shown to be key to being successful on especially a weight loss program. So what we learned today is optimize your breathing a little bit. We gave you a heart math technique, talked about nutrient density, and gave you hopefully a little bit of information to motivate you to actually stop and think as you eat. Talked about the eating window. I didn't really talk about how when you give your body that rest, your body can go into what's called autophagy. And autophagy just means they call it, it's really literally means self-eating, but what it's really saying is, hey, I have time to rest and do some deep cleaning in the body. So I'm going to take apart the old cells and reuse the parts to make new cells because your body's always overturning cells, right? And so there's a lot of people that think I look young for 54, or I'm going to be 54 in a couple weeks. They're already saying that. And I don't know if this is part of it, but I would gather that since I did a lot of intermittent fasting and extended fasting, that I've gone through a lot of autophagy, and that helps make me look more youthful. So just a FYI, big beauty tip there. Um, Rest and recovery, we talked about that and how important that is. We talked about optimizing your gut health, mostly talked about GLP-1 there, and optimizing your chondria and how to reset your HPA axis. So can you get the same results? This is going into my program. Sorry about the salesy kind of vibe here, but I just believe in this program. So there's 3 levels of the program called it's the Living Light Metabolic Program, and they have a light version which doesn't include any coaching or appointments and that sort of thing. It doesn't include the sleep kit, and it doesn't include the Aura Ring. So the next level includes the sleep kit and the Aura Ring and the coaching. And then I always throw in like a higher tier here that includes a heart math training, energy work, and some consultation. It's year long because I want people to really feel supported as you're moving through the program and adding in different types of movement, which I feel like I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff. Okay, so in the first tier, this is what you get. You get a 10-week course. It's an online course. You get lifetime access. And at first, it's going to be bi-weekly sessions that you can come in to a Zoom call and just ask whatever question you want. And hopefully I'll be able to get it together and teach a little bit. Also during those times, which I obviously have lots to teach that I'm passionate about, you get a metabolic manual and a reset spray, as well as a food scale and a measuring tape. The second tier gets all of the things that the first tier has, but it includes the sleep kit, which I really got to tell you, I love this red light bulb. We only have red light bulbs upstairs in my bedroom and my bathroom, and I love to read too. I can read under the red lamp, but I brush my teeth and all that. So it sort of really helps my body prepare itself for sleep. I just love it. You get the Aura Ring. Aura Rings are super expensive, I guess. They're like $400. But once you get it, then it's only like $5 a month, something like that. I try to include like the first year membership. And then you get direct access to me on Better Practice, which is just like it's an app basically on your phone, and you get your 4 coaching calls. And then the third tier includes it's called a Heart Math Inner Balance HRV device. So I put in parentheses biofeedback device because it really is giving you biofeedback, but in order to get it certified biofeedback, it costs like another $1,000, and they would have to pass that cost on to you. You also get either reishi coffee, tea, or capsules, whatever you wish. This is a great product if you do drink coffee, to get some reishi mushroom, which is a really amazing adaptogen that helps just help your body just self-regulate so much better. And then you have 12 or more coaching calls over 12 months. And that's mostly going to be focused on movement. Unless you want to focus on energy, then we can do whatever you want. So, and this is what to expect. So the first week you actually receive your package. I'm trying to encourage people, if they're going to do this program, do it like sign up before the end of the year so you can get your package before then, because there's a little bit of a waiting time with the Aura Ring, like 3 weeks for certain sizes, like size 9. But you'll get your package and you start the program, and by the second week, you'll have all your questions answered about inflammation. You start to see your blood sugar improving, sleep is measurably improved. By week 3, your energy and your focus is markedly improved, and you start to notice things like your skin is better, your clothing is fitting much better, and people are noticing your weight loss, because you will lose a lot of weight really quickly. By week 4, your metabolism is firing on all 4 cylinders, and your brain, body, and nervous system are working in harmony. By week 5, you might be wanting to go shopping for this new clothes because you're doing well. And then week 6, you're wrapping up your program, but you really feel the energy because improved mitochondrial functioning, which means more energy. Who this program is for? It's for I really try to, I think it's great for people that are in our age range or older, of course. For anybody that's tried everything and is starting to have no results or sustainable results, I think that is sort of the compilation of all our misinformation over the years, just getting older, and also hormonal changes as well. So, and then I have a special gift, holiday gift for y'all. I probably won't do this again because I'm just starting off, but I'm offering $500 discount. The code is new you 2025, and it includes the bonuses. And this code is good through December 25th. And what are the bonuses? So you get 4 free group coaching Zoom calls through December 31st to get you through the holidays. And I just want the goal to be to maintain your weight and not to gain any weight through the holidays, which would be just fine. But you'll also get familiar with the program because things will be mailed to you and you can read your manual. You can jump online and start actually going through the modules. If you do order the longevity or life force program, which is that second and third tier, before December 31st, then you will also get a choice of a Renfo scale, which is one of those Bluetooth scales, body composition scales, or you can get a second Organo Reishi product if you already have a scale. That's with full payment. How to schedule a 45-minute wellness discovery call. You can scan this, or if my helpers can put this link in the chat, you can just copy and paste that link, send it to yourself by email, or just click on the link and you'll see where it goes to, which is my Practice Better discovery call sign up. And actually, so go ahead and scan that and you'll see my name here. And it'll say wellness discovery call. And then you want to choose a phone video call, not phone. And then you pick a date that works for you, and it should have my calendar availability. So you'll see that there. And then you'll fill out a little bit of a intake form, answer a few questions, and then make sure you click done at the end to get that call. And we'll listen to your story. There's a little bit of an intake form, like I mentioned. We'll help you choose the right program and get you going in the right direction. Do you have any questions, anybody? This is a good time to unmute and ask any questions you might have. And I'm going to have my helpers also put in the chat your morning routine for your weight loss.
So did you create this program?
So no, it's not. I'm licensing the program. It's called Living Light Metabolic Program. And so the great thing about this program is that they've been running it for several years, and I know they have at least 500 reviews, 5-star reviews, because these people are losing weight. So they're giving people what they need and they want. So yeah, it's pretty
Okay, so you became
remarkable.
a coach.
Yeah, I'm the coach for this program. Yeah,
Oh, okay. It sounds
because I'm
amazing.
licensing it. I'm licensing it. So
What does that mean to license it?
it just means that it's their program. They created the program. They send me all the materials in the kit, for example, or they mail it out to whoever I want it, whoever's my client. That's kind of what it means. And actually the online program is like pretty, it's very comprehensive. And so I don't have to do a lot of teaching, one-on-one teaching to you. All that material is already ready to go. I get to just answer your questions. So when you need it, and I'll provide the coaching based on what your needs are. So
Oh,
everybody's different. So my focus with you will be, different. So
okay. The presentation was amazing. It's really good.
thank you. Appreciate that. Any other questions out there? Anybody even there? Thank you for
Yeah, I have a
helping.
lot of questions because I'm I'm thinking about maybe doing it at the beginning of next year, but I guess my question is when traveling, like for work and things like that, attending events where you don't necessarily have a lot of control over what's being served or what time meals are taking place. What do
Okay.
you suggest?
Well, we can walk you through in fact, I just got a really good travel guide that can help you with that actually. But yeah, it takes a little bit of planning and organizing in order to avoid those situations where you're stuck. But in most restaurants, you will be able to, like, especially if you can know the restaurant ahead of time, you can call and kind of understand what they can do for you in terms of like, because when you're in the release phase, for example, you're allowed like certain vegetables, but then you're not on certain ones, and then it's really no oil. But
Yeah.
you know what? I went to a couple of places. I don't know what I was doing, but I remember celebrating something. It was Danny's birthday. It was my brother's birthday, and so what I did is I got a salad. I asked them to remove the things, like, it had goat cheese, and I definitely couldn't have that. It had bacon, like, I couldn't have a lot of stuff, and then I had the salad dressing on the side. I said, "I just want the balsamic vinegar. I don't want the oil in there." And then I had, like, a burger, but I said, "No bread, just the patty." And I said, maybe there was a little bit of oil in there, but it was minimal. So there's always ways to, because our whole restaurant industry has been forced to accommodate to a variety of diets, right?
Yeah.
So the sort of paleo-ish, if you will, except for it doesn't have the for this period of time, the 6 weeks, you don't have a lot of fats. You're not supposed to have a huge amount of fats. So that would be the whole thing, is you can really ask people and you'll find it on the menu is what I would say.
And what
But yeah,
about
it does take a tiny bit of prep. I don't know how. And then if you can, like if you're I don't know if because you're going to restaurants a lot, if you can always drive to a grocery store and sort of pick things that would put your own meals
right.
together from the grocery store. I know it's not great, but
No, I've done that before too. Like when I would travel, I would just pack like almonds and, snacks that I could eat. Um, but my other question is, when you're on that program, do you feel hungry?
that's the great thing about this program. You don't feel hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If you do feel hungry, because sometimes I would, but what I would do is drink water. I know it's so simple. I'm telling you, like, some of the things that I counsel people on, oh my God, it's just drinking water. And then that wave of hunger will pass. And then because also your body's adjusting to, because we have like almost like motor memory, we have like your digestive memory. Like if you're body's used to eating breakfast and you're trying to put your 2 meals like at lunch and dinner, then your salivation starts for breakfast where when you have that. So until your body kind of adapts, and your body will adapt, it might have those temporary feelings of hunger pangs, but you drink a glass of water and it will go away within like 10 minutes. Sometimes, I mean, it's pretty interesting because the homeopaths work. That's the great thing about the homeopaths is that there's just like magic. That's the only way to describe that. So, but no, I didn't have any hunger. You can ask about them. I didn't bite off anybody's head, like nothing like that. That is the power of homeopaths, is what I would say.
And then what is so once you're done, so let's say you go through 6 weeks and then you're happy with your weight loss and you're feeling good about other things too, sleep and energy and so on. What happens next?
So I think you like for 1 week afterwards, you're adding in fats. Okay. You're not already adding in a bunch of carbs at that point. I think I already told you that you're not going to be exercising for the 6 weeks. So I think the exercise might start. Oh, I think it's week 7, but so there's I can't remember all of it. So you stumped me there. But
Okay.
I do remember the fats were introduced and the carbs, but because I was going to Iceland and I was like, oh, I hope I can get to the carbs, before I go to Iceland. And I did. So I think that's the last week, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah, so probably should have done a better job of asking the question, but I mean, do you continue with the homeopathic
Oh no.
supplements or no? Okay.
No, it's just for the 6 weeks.
So then you don't return to like your previous diet, right? Because that's what you got in trouble with the first time.
Right. Well, 6 weeks is a long enough period of time where you feel like you have established a habit, your body has changed, you become a different person, and hopefully it's gotten rid of your cravings. Now if you have there like food addiction's real. I'm personally have struggled with that since I worked in the school district where I got my fibromyalgia really from just eating the crappiest food in the staff room, which I didn't talk about. But so you really have to work on like some of the psychology of it if that's the problem, because your body will read. It might be like stuff, but you will be quite surprised. Like the diet provides so much nutrition and so much heartiness that if it's kind of like seamless, like to kind of naturally eat that way. I was
Mhm.
kind of eating like that myself, honestly, for all these years. It's paleo-ish is. If you're vegetarian, there you can some of the recipes that are in the book are also meant for vegetarians. So it's kind of flexible that way. So if you're not a meat eater, that's fine too. You're gonna just replace your proteins with legumes mostly.
Mhm.
But it's not difficult, unless you feel like you have some food addiction issues, because sugar and chips, anything that turns to sugar into your bloodstream quickly, if you get back on that ball, then it's sort of, um, it's what would you call it? Snowball effect, I would say.
Yeah.
But I haven't, me, I have a lot of issues with food. I love food. I would call myself a foodie. And, I've been doing pretty good, and, if I have a day here or a day there, I'm not killing myself, and it's not changing my weight, so I've been doing okay. And if I have had my weight go up a little bit, but then it comes back down, so I'm thinking that's because of inflammation, but my set point is pretty good. So yeah, because 'cause I've struggled with all of that, especially
Yeah.
since menopause, and I haven't been struggling with that as much. I know that, like, as soon as Nadia moved in, my food addiction was, like, gonna hit the roof because she was, she's bringing desserts from her restaurant business, And I'm like, nope, can't do this. I just told her yesterday, no more. But it's hard because I am like an alcoholic, but my alcohol is not actual alcohol, it's sugar. So I shouldn't jump off the bandwagon at any time, honestly. I mean, I can eat fruit, that's my sugar. I don't mind that. And you get to eat fruit on your 6 weeks, so
Okay.
the whole idea is that we're not only first of all, it's very motivating to get such rapid weight loss because it's like, yay, finally. But then you kind of feel like, oh my God, I spent money, I put investment of time, and I know how hard this is if I get back on the same roller coaster. So you just become a different person because you know that we're in our 50s. Like we want to be healthy into our older years. And that's
Mhm.
what's motivating for me.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
yeah. Any other questions? I should probably stop recording.
What does the homeopathic do? Does it like help balance blood sugar, or do you know what it does?
The way I describe it and my understanding of it is it resets your metabolic set point. Especially, it has ACTH in it, so it has a number of other ingredients that I read about, but it's been a little while, so I haven't. So I'll have to look it up. But I have a copy. Maybe I can send that to you, a copy of the list of ingredients, so you can see sort of what it does. But it definitely eliminates hunger. So it's
Oh,
really nice because, it's really difficult. Like you just have to have a different mindset because I've been so conditioned in the whole calorie ins, calorie the law of thermodynamics, right? When you're eating a lot of food, but the calories just don't add up to very much. And so it really freaked me out, honestly. And
right.
so it's a psychological thing for me. But I've done homeopath, so I kind of know that the same kind of logic that applies in sort of conventional medicine doesn't seem to apply to it's just a different type of science. And for Tara, you can ask Danny more about those kind of questions because he'll
Yeah.
explain it to you. But I'm not super great at explaining that. But I do have the list of ingredients if you're interested, and you can kind of look that
Yeah,
up
just
yourself.
curious, like kind of the general gist
Yeah,
of what it does. But yeah, okay. Yeah, this is really interesting. I haven't heard of this at all.
yeah, found me. But okay, well, thank you guys.
Ready to have your gift.
Oh, and Addie put in the gift, the morning routine. So you want to click on that link and make a copy of that into your own Google Drive if you have Google Drive, or I think, um, so you can see that. Thank you, Gail. Oh, she's still here. Let's see, is Woody still here? Hey, is Paulette still awake? What time is it? Oh, I did good on time.
Oh, shoot. We got one latecomer.
Oh, who is it?
Nikki.
Oh, how long she been there? Sorry, Nikki. Oh no. How long
How,
she
I've been checking. How did you just arrive, Nikki, or were you waiting for a while in the waiting room? She's on mute.
You just arrived at
Oh, Gail's still there. Thank you, Philip. I hope your mom learned a lot. I hope she's still there. And okay, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. And sorry, Nikki, I don't know how long you've been waiting. They left now. Okay. No problem, Philip. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. No pizza for you. Oh, okay, that's my husband. I'm gonna turn this